Hey guys, so let's get right into it and take a look at the latest in this franchise, Terminator Dark Fate. Directed by Tim Miller and starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, Linda Hamilton, Mackenzie Davis, Natalia Reyes, and Gabriel Luna. And the plot is basically the plot of all of these. A Terminator is sent back into the past to kill a particular person to prevent something from happening in the future. Terminator Dark Fate. There's not much in terms of a plot here because this is stuff we've all experienced before if you've seen this franchise. And of course, as most of you know, Terminator Dark Fate pretends that everything from 3 to 5 never took place, right? This movie takes up after the events of Terminator 2, arguably the best action movie of all time, sci-fi action movie of all time, definitely the best Terminator movie in the franchise to date. So does it still hold that record? Let's get into it. First of all, the good stuff. And right off the bat, I would say directed by Tim Miller was a strong choice and a good choice. Now, James Cameron also produced this, and as everybody knows, this is his baby. Terminator is his brainchild. So having the two of them together, Tim Miller, of course, being the director behind the Deadpool movies, we know you were supposed to be in for some good action sequences. And I, for one, really liked the action sequences in this movie for one very strong main reason. They were cohesive and easy to follow. It's about as simple as that. Every action set piece here was shot in a way that I could see everything that was happening. Because I'm so sick and tired of action movies that think they have to put a bazillion cuts in there and get the camera right up in the face of the stars and you can't see what's happening. Here you could absolutely see everything that was happening. And of course, with James Cameron involved, you know the special effects were gonna be a top-notch affair, and it definitely is that. The de-aging here is absolutely some of the best I've seen. I can't really get into it too much because there's a huge spoiler involved in this, but the de-aging scene here, I was really blown away because a lot of the time with de-aging, it's either really good in one place and bad in another, even if it's in the same movie. Like for instance, Captain Marvel, for me, Sam Jackson, it was almost flawless. I honestly never really had a moment with him where I had that whole uncanny valley feeling. Whereas when it switched to Agent Coulson's that character, I was like, ugh, what is that? You know, that's a nightmare. So that's what I mean about usually it works in some places, then it doesn't work in others. I thought it was really good here for the characters, for everybody. Maybe there was one character where I kind of saw, but overall it was really good. The visuals too with this Terminator played excellently by Gabriel Luna. I really like the idea behind this Terminator. Granted, it's not a new idea. It is the Terminator from Terminator 3, if you think about it. They just utilize it in a better way. You know, this is a Terminator that, I'm not giving anything away here. They show it in the trailer. His liquid metal self can separate from the endoskeleton, so it's like you have to fight two of them. And it made for some fantastic sequences just for the fact that he seemed more unstoppable than any Terminator that came before him. He was really smart, and of course, you know, he's more advanced. He even has a bit of a personality to him. I thought Gabriel Luna did a really good job here. He was like a cockroach. You honestly threw everything in the kitchen sink at him and he just would not stop, and I like that a lot. It was one of the best aspects of this film. And like I said, Tim Miller knows how to shoot action, and the action sequences here were really over the top. I mean, granted, some of this stuff is like, how the hell are they surviving this? But I could let it go most of the time because the characters here are augmented and all that sort of stuff, and it's androids and it's this and it's that. So with the exception of a couple people who really should have a lot more broken bones, I was willing to look that stuff over and just leave it. The story here is also, again, we've seen this before, and this is where I'm gonna get into my negatives and I'm gonna get into that. But the story here, I'll give it this: it's not a confusing story. It's not a bunch of techno babble and this and that and the other. It's pretty straightforward. Like I said, they sent a Terminator back to save someone, and if you're paying attention, you pretty much know who this someone is right off the bat, of course, but you also know who that someone will become. Again, I don't want to get into it too much, but I had all of that figured out way before the reveal. The acting, Mackenzie Davis, stand out for me. I thought she was amazing. She definitely had the look of somebody who could handle herself, augmented or not. She stood like at least like half a foot above Linda Hamilton and not Natalia Reyes. And it just, she had this very imposing look about her that I loved. And of course, where everybody came back to this movie for, the person I should say, Linda Hamilton as the OG Sarah Connor. It was so great seeing her on screen again, and her introduction here is really strong, really badass. It reminded me a lot, I kept thinking back to Jamie Lee Curtis in the Halloween 2018 movie. You know, it's so cool to see women, these older women, step up and show, you know, we could be badasses too. We were badasses once before, we could be badasses again, and I absolutely dig that so much. I wish we could see Sigourney Weaver now come back in Aliens, although I don't think that's ever gonna happen. But yeah, it was so much, it's so, and then what I loved about what she did too is we got to see how the events that take place after 2, and where she's been and all of that, and how that has affected her. You know, like I said, the same way they did it with Jamie Lee Curtis, they did that here, you know, and Linda nails it. You know, we haven't seen her on screen in such a long time, but I thought she gave a very nuanced, very strong, yet vulnerable when she had to be. It was all there in the eyes, you know, all there in the way she would speak, and just a really well-rounded character. You could tell that Linda has a lot of love for this character, Sarah Connor, because it's all there in this, on the screen. And that's the good stuff, guys, because I'm gonna get into the negatives. And right off the bat, I'll say the biggest issue with this is there's nothing new here. We've done this 100 times before, or at least what, 5 times before. Is this number 6? I think this is number 6. We've seen this before, even though they're saying like, okay, 3 to 5 doesn't exist. We see stuff that's touching on 3 to 5 if you really pay attention. There are certain scenes and certain moments, like I said, even with the Terminator himself, where they're borrowing from that, and they're banking on your nostalgia and your love for this franchise. And while the overall thing is enjoyable, it's really a feeling of, well, it's fine, you know. They don't really bring anything that new into this. There is a moment in the beginning, it's very spoilery, so I'm not going to talk about it now. I know this moment is gonna be 50-50 for a lot of people, or maybe even 80-20, with the 80% probably hating it and despising it, and 20% being okay with it. Now, I fall in the 20%. And my reason for that is I've never understood what the big deal is about that particular character. I almost feel like if you played video games, that character is an escort mission time and time again. And I've never really seen any one of the movies explain to me properly why that character is so damn important. So for me, what they did, it wasn't that big a deal. And it almost felt like we could move on from this and we could get something new. Problem is, we don't really get anything new. What we get here is what we've seen before. Granted, it's really well done with a very likable character. I absolutely love this character. The irony to me being that if they did not send a Terminator back into the past, this character may not have been as badass. The character would have done what they did, but they wouldn't have done it so early on, you know. So they almost created their own problem, but whatever. Arnold being back as a Terminator. Now, here's the thing. It's really hard, I think, to take Arnold out of this. And I don't know, I'm not saying it's impossible to do, because like, for instance, the Star Wars movies and the Skywalker family, it's hard to take them out, but it's not impossible. And you need to remove that character if you need this franchise to grow. The way they stick this character back into this storyline is a little hard to believe. It's a little hard to digest that the events that occurred that led up to him still being around and what he was doing while he was around. I don't know. I'm 50-50 on that one. On one hand, I totally get it's an AI, it can learn whatever. On the other hand, it's like, really? You know, the people that you're with don't question dot. I mean, there's a lot of letting go of the stuff like that for me to really say that I enjoyed this movie. But in the end, I would be lying if I said I didn't. And I would also be lying if I said I didn't think this was one of the better sequels out there. If I had to rate them all and review them all, honestly, for me, the first time I did a little post on Facebook. I usually do these small snippets after I see a movie. I think I put it right after Terminator 2. I was like, this one, two, and then this one. But honestly, I think the one that I would put ahead of this one is it right? Rise of the Machines. I don't like a lot of that movie, but I did like the way that movie concluded. It's kind of hard. Maybe it ties with that. It has such similar stuff going on there. I might have to revisit this again, but I do think it's one of the stronger ones out there. It's nowhere near as bad as Salvation, you know, that sort of thing. So at least it's cohesive. The actors are doing a fantastic job. I think they're giving it their all. The action set pieces, while over the top, and it's hard to believe that the more human characters would survive these things, I still think the action was really good. And I saw this in IMAX 40X and I had a blast with it. Granted, could get a little distracted, the seat moving all the time like that, but the action set pieces I thought were very well executed. So guys, overall I would give this movie a 6.5 out of 10. I initially thought 7, but the story is definitely derivative of the ones that came before, and unfortunately they don't really do anything that majorly new with it, you know. Would I say I don't want to see any more Terminator movies? No, not by a long shot. I think there are some good ideas here, and I definitely like this cast and I want to see them back again. Maybe they could finally find a way of retiring the T800 model. I don't know if that's possible or how you would even go about doing that without pissing everybody off, but overall this movie, it's a good sequel. It's not a bad movie, I don't think so, but it's definitely not the Terminator movie that they made it out to be. You know, it's not this wow must see type of film. It's just another good Terminator movie. So 6.5 out of 10. And that's it, guys. I hope you liked this review, and if you did, please feel free to hit that thumbs up button. It's much appreciated. You guys want to subscribe to my channel, of course you can click on my face right over there, and that's much appreciated as well. And if you want to see past videos, you can check those out on that side. And until next time, bye bye. Alexa is minding my business. Bye guys.